Hello and welcome to another episode of the Paperstac podcast. I am Brett Berkey and this is Rick Allen. We're here today to bring you some more fun, good stuff about the note industry and note tactics,
knowledge bombs.
Yeah, smart things inside Rick's head. That's what we should base this. That should be the subtitle.
Yeah, that's good questions though. I mean, you have to admit, like anybody I talk to is like, Brett's the most fascinating guy. It's because you ask a lot of questions.
Very curious guy.
You're very curious, and actually, Brett the other day was like, we're talking, and he's like, yeah, somebody's coming back in town. I'm so excited. I can't wait to figure out what I can learn from them. And I'm like, man, I wish I had that sort of mentality.
Well, it's like, I learned it from Brian Tracy. Brian Tracy said you can learn something from everybody. And so,
sure.
When it's like, I remember when I was younger, when we go to like birthday parties with my daughter, I don't know these parents. And I'm like, and I'd find one person. And then I would just like, this one time this guy was like a gardener kind of guy, like he had a big farm, and I just cornered him and I opened Evernote and I just was, why do you do that? How do you do this? Where'd you get that? Where'd you do that? Where's the nursery we buy from? Okay, what are the companion plants I should get? I went on for like, I just had him in the corner for like an hour and until my wife was like, Brett, you gotta stop talking to him. It's like, I don't really care. I mean, after it's done, I'm never going to see the guy.
Yeah. Fast forward, Brett. I think did you just finish a tower hydroponics plant?
Yes.
Or hydroponics
I have
garden.
A 48 pod tower that I printed on a 3D printer.
How long did that take?
It took way too long.
How long?
Like 2 months,
2 months.
Well, it would.
How long should it have taken?
Well, with the 3D printer that you're mastered and know how to use, probably 2 weeks. But like I would screw up and then have to start over, and then something would happen, and then I'd curse it out and swear I wasn't going to do it again or not use it, and then I'd come back to it in the garage and look at it, and then I'd tinker with it again, and I finally finished it. Then the last thing is I got the pump. I couldn't figure out how to get the thing to work, and I had to drill the holes, and then my wife's like, you're not putting that in the house because it's a 5-gallon bucket that I just put on top. So I went to Home Goods and I just walked around the 5-gallon bucket, putting in every like laundry basket until I found one that was snug, and I was like, this looks pretty, and I kind of holding it back.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm almost done. I've been going to the hydroponic store twice now, and they've been closed, so I'm kind of pissed about that, but I should get it done, and so that's pretty much it. I'll show you a picture. We'll upload a picture of, and you can see my tower, and then maybe before and after. That's my after work's done is my wind down.
It's your release.
That's my release.
You're a hell of a gardener. You should see the garden he's got.
Yeah.
You can grow some stuff.
I have to give away stuff because I don't. I'm not gonna
microgreens yesterday.
Oh yeah, I have a microgreens grow set, but.
So what do we got? What do we have today? What's the plan? What's our topic?
So our topic is today, like, there's a lot of people that might not be getting the results they want in their note investing career. There's things that are unpredictable, but there are things that you are within your control. So there's a lot of things where some people might be on the sidelines still, mm-hmm. and looking at notes going, I want to do it, but just haven't, but know a lot of stuff about it. Maybe watch a lot of these videos, but just haven't pulled the trigger. Mm-hmm. And so we're going to talk about what are the things that are holding you back from getting the results you want within your own note investing career. And so I would talk to you, Rick. Let's start with number one. Well, I don't know if it would be the biggest, but just...
I think a foundation of knowledge is always going to be number one for me. Like, you got to have a foundation of knowledge. When I got into the business in 2012, there was a larger margin for error, because you were buying stuff, $90,000 in debt. I paid $8,400 for it.
Oh yeah, so you can make a lot of mistakes.
You can make mistakes, and there was an abundance of inventory. So when there's so much inventory out there, it's kind of a buyer's market. Buyer name your price, and you're good. Mm-hmm. And if you have any idea of the real estate market, you're good to go, and you can kind of, you can peg a value of what you could sell it for and what you can buy it for, and then you can mess up along the way. When the inventory shrinks and it gets tighter, it's more competitive. Margins shrink a little bit, and you have to be more. You have to be a bit more of a ninja. You got to know exactly which step to do, like Indiana Jones when he was walking across. If he took one wrong step, he was falling through. Yeah. So if you know what you're doing, you can still make good returns, and you can allow your strategy to sort of ebb and flow with the market.
Right.
Knowledge is it.
So when there's condensed inventory, your goal is to be laser focused on what you want.
Exactly. You want to be laser focused on what you want. You want to be more dialed into pricing.
Right.
Right? So you want to know exactly where your pricing is, which is kind of like takes me to my second point in the thing is like, what's the second thing is you paid too much for an asset.
Yeah.
Price is it, right? You make your money on the buy. That's the same. It's in real estate. It's the same when you're buying pretty much anything. You buy low, you sell it higher. Mm-hmm. You can make your money. So that would be my second thing is people not knowing what's a competitive bid, what's going on in the market, and overpaying for stuff for the sake of buying something.
Right. We have a video about that. We're making acceptable offers and backing into your offer based off your yield, what you want, right? So
based off what you're looking for.
So you might overpay, but if it works with your yield, you didn't overpay.
You didn't. And here's kind of an interesting thing is if you're buying performing and you're targeting a 10 and you wind up at an 8 or a 9, is it the worst thing in the world? No. You're still gonna come out ahead. You're still gonna make your money. Mm-hmm. It's just not gonna be as high as you want. And then there's gonna be some where you get in there targeting a 10 and you wind up at a 15, and it all balances itself out. So it's always about base hits and you find the home run. When you start swinging for home runs the whole time, you're gonna hit more home runs probably, but you're also gonna strike out a couple times because things won't always go how they're supposed to.
The question I have is, do you base your yield off of a portfolio? So if you say, okay, I got one that was a 5 and I got one that's a 15, my overall yield for my portfolio is a 10.
Of course, you have the weighted average on your portfolio. It's going to give you a weighted average. This is what your portfolio is netting. And a lot of times if you're just starting out, you pick a number and you try to hit the number and stay as close to that baseline as possible. Whenever you're managing, larger portfolios, you try to do that, but you're going to have some losers. And let me tell you, if you're in this business, you're going to have some stinkers. I had somebody tell me that, Eddie Speed told me that. He's like, you're going to lose on some deals. It's going to happen. Mm-hmm. And at the time, I think we were like 18 for 18 on just killing. And I was like, most people are going to have losers. This guy is not going to have a loser. And it's going to happen. It is going to happen.
And then it happened?
Yeah, of course we've had some, There's some times when you can't, there's a non-performing loan, you get it and you're sitting good. Maybe you paid a little bit much for it, but you're like, even if we have to owner finance it and we'll note our way out of this, we're good. And then there's a basement and the basement's got 2 feet of water in it.
What was that? Tell me about that one that was in Tennessee near like the Kentucky near the Kentucky Derby. That guy went back and forth, drug you guys through the mud.
Well, that's a good example of targeting a home run, making 25% on a foreclosure, and then winding up making 8 or 9%. But the long and short of it was there was a deal. It was in a nice neighborhood, 2-acre lots. It was a 4,000 square foot house.
Oh wow! I didn't know.
It was huge. I mean, it was a great house. Judgment was already entered, and
that's one of those ones you take back and just move in.
Yeah. If I wanted to live in Kentucky, but the guy ended up fighting it the whole way.
I bet.
And he kept filing bankruptcy, and I think we went through 4 bankruptcies on that thing, and finally I was like, dude, I'll pay you $15,000 just to leave.
You take it?
Yeah, he took it, and that's fine. I mean, if I would have done that day one, it would have saved me $45,000 or $50,000 on just
in 2 years, right?
Yeah, it was a nightmare. Time, money, it was just a disaster.
I remember you guys talking about that one. That was you guys were arguing about that one. That was just it was. Yeah, I remember it was super nice near Kentucky Derby or something like that in the same area.
Well, so the time it started till the time we finally got it back, there were some bad storms. The roof got damaged. It was just a nightmare. Now, had I fixed it up and held it until today, the old coulda, woulda, shoulda,
mm-hmm.
You're looking at an $800,000 house, and then your return is a lot, enough.
That's funny. All right, moving on. What's the other?
So we have knowledge.
Knowledge
is first off. Buying it right. Analysis
Analysis paralysis?
Paralysis by analysis. Yes, that's what it is. Paralysis by analysis. And that's getting in there and being, too wrapped up, always looking for that every little thing's got to be perfect. And no deal. Look, they're on the secondary or tertiary market right now. The deals aren't perfect. I got news for you. You're not finding a 790 credit score on something. It's just not likely to happen. So if you're in there and you're looking for every little thing, it's got to be perfect. Your money's sitting there idle, not doing anything.
That's a good point. Yeah, I mean, I that's not only for note investing, but everything. I've seen people that do that with stocks. I think my dad sometimes did that, where he would my mom would get mad because they were big stock people, and she's like, "You missed it. I told you it was gonna go from here to here, and this date we were gonna do earnings," and he would do it, and then they would miss the boat, and so it
makes for good pillow talk at night.
No, it's like when someone's sleeping on the couch. But.
Yeah. Well. Yeah. So that's one, and then finally, kind of the counterparty to paralysis by analysis. It's not doing very good due diligence. If you don't do your due diligence, you don't run your values, you don't look at servicing notes, you don't look at pay history, you don't look at market conditions, you don't look at title, the neighborhood, all that stuff. If you're not running those calculations and putting all that data into the machine to feed out if it's a buy or not, you're gonna miss it. It's just the way it is. You're gonna mess up. Will you mess up every time? No, you won't, but sometimes you will. And so that's why running the due diligence is super important.
Yeah, I think we have a checklist. I think I want to say it's in the knowledge base, but we've covered that before, where I think it was your due diligence on non-performing, though. I can't remember, but there is a list inside of the knowledge base that you can look at, and I'll link to that. It shows exactly, look, this, and this. Of course, we have it all in the academy, so if you're interested in that, there's a huge section about just the due diligence and everything that Rick does for buying and selling notes. So we got that. So not doing your due diligence.
Yeah, and then the final one, which is really, it's out of your control. It's kind of like a black swan event. COVID is something, a tree falling on a house. God forbid you had a mortgage, or you held the mortgage on one that was down south in Fort Myers. You had a Cat 5 hurricane rolled through there. So that's going to happen. I've had trees fall on houses before.
Right, didn't you have that one work, right?
I did. You got insurance, which is great, but it's one of the things, by the time the insurance company takes their pound of flesh and they figure in, depreciation and all this other stuff, you're looking at it, you're like, well, we lost a couple grand on it, but it was like one of those things where it's like, well, I guess what are you gonna do? We'll just take the payoff, give them, the house, and they can do with it what they want.
Question: when things like that happen, where you have something like a tree fall in the house and you lose out, can you use stuff like that as write-offs on your business?
I am not an accountant, so I do not.
You always answer those questions.
Yeah,
like that.
I don't. It all works out in the end to where, yes, you're gonna lose some on there, and you're not making any money. So, but I had a really wealthy individual tell me, he's like, write-offs they're great, but at the end of the day, you're losing money, so that's not great. So,
yeah,
I'd rather pay 20 or 30% taxes on money than write it off, because you got to have a lot of write-offs. And when you're doing your taxes, there's ways that if you're filing personal taxes, you're incorporating losses from one business into another business on your personal stuff via K1, and that it can work there for sure. But you're always, the goal in the note space is to always win, and it's to win as many times as possible. You got to have a nice winning percentage.
All right. So anything else?
No, that's. There's 1,000 other things that can cause you to lose money, not being responsible, whatever. But those are the things that I see that you can mitigate 4 out of those 5.
That's good to know. And I think we have talked about those in different episodes in the past. So cool. Well, I guess that's it.
That's it.
This is what are you doing? Anything fun this weekend?
That's my birthday on Sunday. So I am going to the woods to go spend some time with my wife and unplug my phone and just go hunting and
cool.
Have fun.
You won't be here for the present I got you.
It'll be here Monday.
Okay, cool. All right, cool. Well, we'll see you on the next one.
See ya.
See ya.